Well, I'm at the airport. This is the Shell station where I wasted so much time before I found out that you have to be in the waiting lot. See, it says head to waiting lot. So I started at 6:30, wanted to get up at like 5, but got up at 5:30, and then I forgot that I did a movie before, YouTube video about, you know, my work. So I started working on that one. So 6:20 I finally started the Uber app. No Lyft, just Uber, just to see if I can get lucky. And 5 minutes later, I got a offer 1 kilometer away. A guy was coming to the airport, and interesting story, he's a trucker. I'm like, really? You're a trucker? I was a trucker. So he's a trucker, and of course airport, like usually there's 3 reasons people go to the airport. Either they fly, but this guy had no luggage, or they go to the airport to rent a car, because that's where all car rental agencies are here in departure level, or they're meeting somebody, right? And so I asked this guy, I said, I see he says no luggage. I said, are you flying or renting a car? He says, renting a car. We started chatting about car renting, and he's going to BC, and he doesn't have a car. He said he used to have one, but it's so expensive nowadays, and insurance and monthly payments, so he just uses and he's a trucker, so he's always on the road. He's like home once a week, you know. So same story as me. So I got $9.72. That was my first customer, and I think it's always good when the first customer is a man. You know, that was it's over here, YYC waiting list, and there's 6 to 10 cars Uber, but there's only 1 flight expected in the next hour. So I see it says long wait, so no point. Uber, and let's check Lyft. Lyft says 1 to 5 drivers only in the same location, but you get 2 rides per hour. So basically you can be sitting there for 3 hours, because only 2,000 people arrive in the next 2 hours, which actually doesn't seem too little, right? But 2 rides per hour, right? It's just crazy. So what do you do? And now there's 20% turbo, like 20% surcharge, and I think at 7 o'clock it becomes 30%. And you see, like this area here, this is the where you have to be. So you go and, you know, you just click. If you click like this, navigate, it'll take you right to that spot. And that took me like 2 weeks to figure that one out, because I'm an idiot, I guess. No, but I mean, nobody's telling you, right? I was sitting here at the Shell station thinking, hey, free parking, you know, you can go inside, get coffee, get water. But why am I not getting any rides? And then I figured out, hey, wait a second, you have to be in a special area. At least actually Uber tells you this, you know, like you see this? Uber is much smarter than Lyft. It says head to waiting lot. And here it says, you know, white on blue, it says YYC waiting lot. And so, you know, you can put 2 and 2 together, right? But Lyft says nothing. Like if I click this out, yeah, it just says YYC 1 to 5 drivers. I never clicked on that, you know, and I was just sitting here thinking, like before, you know, thinking, okay, well, there's only, let's say 2-3 drivers, so I'm here, so it shouldn't take long. And then I never was getting any rides, because I was not in that gray box. Because once you enter that area, then the app automatically senses that you're there, and it puts you into the queue. And so basically a situation like this, there's no reason to sit here, because here you can still get rides, but only from outside, like from hotels and stuff. So I better get out. Oh, actually yesterday one thing happened that never happened before. I dropped off a flight attendant, very handsomely dressed lady, you know, all the way from downtown to here. Same story, she used to have a car, now she flies, she's like on working and flying around like all over the world, you know, with WestJet. I thought it was just Canada. No, she flies like Tokyo, you know, London, everywhere. And she just doesn't see a reason to own a car because she lives in downtown. She can walk everywhere. And then for work, once a week or so, she just takes Uber. And I made like 20 bucks, you know. And we were chatting, very nice lady, very interesting, you know, at least, you know, you can talk to your customers. And as soon as I dropped her off in departures, as soon as she closed the door, it was Uber. Uber beeped and gave me another ride. Like, how is that possible? I thought you have to be in that waiting lot, right? Because I was not on the waiting lot. I was on second level departure of the airport, but they gave me a ride. It says gate 11. Okay, so I can drive over to gate 11 departures, pick up a couple that were going back downtown. And I think I made like 18, for some reason back down it was cheap. I think it was like either 13 or 15 bucks, something like that. What the heck, I ended up going to the waiting lot anyway. So because you can still get calls from roundabout hotels, and right now there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, so like 5 cars total. I don't know how they count. And it says, see, this is Uber, so it turns out there's a surge pricing in effect right now here. Surge pricing in effect. You're more likely to get surge fares in this area. And you see it says Uber Pets, because I also registered for Uber Pets. I know it's a risk, you know, if a pet like a dog or a cat barfs in your car, it's a nightmare. But they do pay you, like, I forgot, I think in the States it's like 150 bucks for cleanup or something like that. But I just hope I'll get lucky. But I can always say no. Like if I see a dog is like, you know, whining and, you know, fidgeting and stuff like that, and or look sick, I'm just gonna say no and refuse the ride. Oh yeah, I see the color change. So, but I did register for that because you see, Uber Pets, there's only 1-5 cars, but regular Uber X is 6 to 10. So this means that sitting here, you see now it's surge pricing in effect. I don't know, they say only LYFT says that 2 rides per hour, and there's 1-5 drivers ahead of me. But it says next 2 hours they expect 3,000 people, and you see now the 30% turbo is active because it's 7 o'clock, and turbo started at 7. And so here actually it's not too bad, you know, like this area. The only problem here is that the internet signal is very weak, and a couple of times actually I lost a ride. Like they offer me a ride, I click accept, and it, you know, the wheel starts spinning and basically it says poor reception, you know. So I try to cruise around, see if I can get like at least 2 bars, but downtown is that way. But still, it seems like, I don't know, they should do something here, you know, like put some retranslator, you know, some kind of a, but this particular area is bad for internet. I don't know how they expect us to, because we all depend on the app, right? So we need to have good internet. But there's security here, that white car cruising around, and they have 6 porta potties, you know, portable washrooms. So which is pretty good. And there's a big bin for garbage. So everything is clean over here, and they tell us that everything has to be clean, don't throw garbage on the ground, stuff like that. So it's all nicely neatly organized. We're looking for rides. Yeah, you better. Lyft and Uber. See, that's security. YYC. And YYC is the code for Calgary, Alberta, Canada. 30% turbo. Oh, you see, search pricing disappeared. That's why one guy, I watched the video, he says, do not chase surge price areas, because by the time you get there, they disappear. Well, you see, this is just, it's not clickable. Yeah, before there was that little icon picture for search pricing. So that's all I did right now. $9.72. But I got my satellite radio, I got my coffee, I got my water. Let's start the waiting game. Well, I spent an hour here. I was just about to leave, and then finally Lyft gave me something like 10 bucks. I don't know. So heading over to arrivals door 3. But you see, so it is helpful. It is helpful to have 2 apps, because I know some guys, they just sign up for Uber, but Lyft is so easy. You know, Lyft takes, like I mentioned before, Lyft takes 2 weeks to sign up. Uber takes 2.5 months, at least in my case. And so I was sitting here, and eventually it said 1 to 5 cars ahead of you, and then Lyft started beeping. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And what happens, by the way, if you don't accept it, let's say you're outside and you know you're cleaning your car, like I saw one guy and he didn't have his phone with him, and you miss it, or you decide not to take it, what they do is they bump you down to the bottom of the queue. So let's say if there were 5 people ahead of you and you get the offer and you miss it or you decline it, now you're guy number 6, or basically number 5, because they will give this to the next guy, right? So okay, arrivals door 3, here we come. Well, it's what's the time now? 9 o'clock. I have $14.66 on Lyft. Oh yeah, and this was the you know, the one where I was sitting. I said I was sitting for an hour at the airport, and then Lyft was first to give me a ride. Uber was still too many cars, I guess, in front of me. And so I got this guy, a young kid, and for some reason he climbed in the front. Some people just like riding in the front, so I had to hustle or remove my glasses, and I have some other stuff in here. But check this out. So I took him to maybe like, what is this, 5 kilometers or something. So there was a turbo 30% surcharge, and right away, see how much it adds to $9. It added $2.56, and then because I was chatting with him, you know, and actually he was an interesting guy, he gave me a $3 tip, you know. Now on Uber things are way better. So 28 bucks today, and the last trip was $18. Basically right after I drop off that guy there with Lyft, I resumed Uber and got a great ride, because it took me from that area, it took me to this basically it's called Marlboro Mall. There's a Walmart here, and the lady, turns out there's a college inside. And I asked her, I said, what are you studying? And she said HCA. And I look at her and she says healthcare aid. And I said, is that like a nurse? She says, not exactly, it's something we do what nurses don't want to do. So basically, I think, yeah, in Russian it's called sanitar. Basically you bathe patients, you deal with some nasty stuff. So it's kind of like an assistant to nurse. Nurse does clean stuff. So this lady, and she was like, I don't know, 25, 27. And I asked her, how long is the program? I said, a couple of years, 2-3 years. She said, no, 10 months. 10 months. And I said, where are you gonna work? She said, anywhere they have elderly or disabled or sick people. So there's lots of opportunities, right, if you are into that kind of thing. But man, actually I remember I did this, you would not believe it, but when I was a student at the Kirovograd Pedagogical Institute, which is kind of like a university where I got the diploma as a teacher of English back in Kirovograd, Ukraine, Russia, which is now Kropivnitsky, but back then it was still USSR. And in the summer, you know, I wanted to make some extra money, so I went to the hospital. We had a big local hospital, a couple of bus stops away, and they hired me as pretty much this, healthcare aide. And so my job was, but in Russian again it was called sanitar, so my job was you know, mopping the floors, cleaning things up. And then it was exactly a situation like this. I remember there was an old woman dying from cancer, and nurses asked me to, you know, change her clothes because they didn't want to touch her. So exactly like this lady said, healthcare aide, we do what nurses don't want to do. And so I did that. And I remember of course I dealt with, you know, some urine and stuff like that. Man, I cannot believe it. I was maybe 19, 20 years old. For some reason I decided to try this. I think at one point I wanted to be a doctor briefly, but after this job I think that desire disappeared. Okay, so I went inside Walmart, had a quick breakfast at the McDonald's, and I got this very good, very nice, very cool thing to have in your car, you know. So make sure that there's no smells, no body odors, and sometimes I just spray it a little bit, you know, on the seat and the back even, just to create. Well, I've never tried this Duck Temptation. I don't need that, but I had X before, but I don't remember which one I had. I think it was just regular, but just spray it under the armpits, you know, make sure there's everything is cool. And then I got this. These are not easy to find nowadays, this flash drives, but I need this because I did some photography last week for Stampede. And I know you can transfer photos online, but I just feel better. I put them on a USB stick, give it to the customer, she gives me a check, everybody's happy, you know, like old school. Well, I ended up in Airdrie, of all places. I hate coming here because I never can get passengers out of here, because Airdrie, it's not Calgary, right? And it's 20 kilometers one way. But I couldn't see, basically after when I was sitting at that Walmart, I got a ride from LYFT again, even though both LYFT and Uber
turn left, then turn right on Winther Drive
were running, but LYFT was faster, gave me a ride just 1 kilometer away. So I pick up a young woman and something is going on. I asked her what kind of music she likes, and she says, well, something upbeat. And it looks like she's not in a very good mood. And then, so I got her some hits, you know, something with the beat. And then I hear in the back she calls somebody, so I turned down the music. And I hear her say, you know, she curses, and then she says, I give him my real name. And I'm like, okay. And then all the way to the destination, which is like, you know, pretty far, like from that Marlborough Mall, probably 15 kilometers. I could hear she was typing like very fast. I could hear her nails. I thought first she was like drumming up, you know, the music, like the rhythm, but then I realized she was typing, and then she started applying makeup.
Exit the roundabout onto 40th
because
Avenue.
You know, I didn't look in the mirror, but I could hear all kinds of cases being open, and you know, some brushes are making noise. And we show up there, and she says, "Do you know the house number?" She's asking me. Oh, hold on 1 second.
Head to your pickup at 499 Canals Crossing Southwest.
Wow, look at this. So Uber still can give you a ride here. Okay, so we go offline on this thing over here. Man, this is awesome. Maybe it's when it ends in Calgary they allow you this. Huh.
Turn left on 8th Street West.
So anyway, and so she's asking me what house, and I can see the house number on my app
North
there.
on 8th Street Southwest toward Coopers Boulevard Southwest.
And
In 150 meters, turn right onto Coopers Boulevard Southwest.
some scrappy looking
Turn right
guy
onto Coopers Boulevard Southwest.
is waiting at the door, and he's looking at his phone, he's looking at my car, and I can see right away that they don't know each other. So you make your own conclusions, but I mean, first time something like this, you know, happened to me. But I mean, you get all kinds of passengers, you know, like each with his or her own story, and that's what I like about this job or gig, whatever you call it. Oh yeah, and then after that I was not sure what to do, because that's
Head
not a
north on 8th Street Southwest.
it's not a good
Coopers Drive
area
Southwest, Windsong
for
Drive Southwest.
passengers. It's all residential.
In 200 meters, make a U-turn at Coopers Drive Southwest, Windsong Drive Southwest.
What the
Make a
heck?
U-turn at Coopers Drive Southwest, Windsong Drive Southwest.
What the heck are you talking about?
Head north on 8th Street Southwest toward Coopers Link Southwest. In 500 meters, make a U-turn at Coopers Link.
Yeah, sorry, I had the Google Maps going because I plotted Cross-Iron Mills. I did not think that Uber can give me a ride here, and so I was confused because Google Maps was making me to do a U-turn because they thought I was going to Cross-Iron Mills. I'm like, what the heck? And it's the same voice, you know, it's hard to distinguish.
Turn
And
left on Channelside Drive Southwest. Then
So-
turn left on Canals Crossing Southwest.
but anyway, after that lady, pretty much I didn't drive too far. I went to some kind of I've been there before, it's some kind of a cultural center, like something to do with Hindu religion, and I picked up a older guy in all white clothes, and he didn't speak any English, and I could read his name on the app, and I said, you know this? And he says, oh, my sister.
Turn left on Canals Crossing
My sister
Southwest.
called.
Then pick up N.
And then I see, and it says Airdrie. Holy moly, so 23 kilometers. But the guy was super nice, was very quiet, was writing something in his notepad, you know, looks like he's a priest or something. And he gave me a $5 tip, you know, and thanked me kind of like profusely, you know, thank you in English, you know. So he does speak a little bit
Pick
of
up
English.
N.
Okay, where's our next victim over here? All right. Yeah, last ride. Like, Uber definitely pays better. So 34.7 kilometers. Basically paid 30 bucks. No tip. So my only tip is still over there. Like, who carries cash nowadays? But yeah, I got lucky. Otherwise I would have driven probably, I don't know, 20 kilometers empty. So instead got this guy, and they were going from, basically a young couple. They were coming from Airdrie all the way to 17th Ave. And they were going for a brunch at a restaurant. So I found parking. So I don't want to leave this 17th Ave on the other side of these buildings. You know, it's a really great area. So people are having, now it's 11:04. People are having brunch, you know, maybe after that somebody will need a ride. So I'm seeing at pretty much 58 bucks on Uber and 42 on Lyft. Wait, when did I make $42 today? I had 3 rides, 17 bucks, 10, and oh yeah, this one was the guy. Oh yeah, the guy gave me a tip, that young kid. So wow, so it's almost $100, and it's 11 o'clock. So maybe let's start Lyft. Yeah, you see 17th Ave over here? So I'm just north of 17th Ave. And it shows, it says 3 to 9 minutes, but that can be 2 hours. With Lyft, it's all BS. You can never trust these little icons where it says 1 minute. Okay, let's see. Show me wait times. Okay, it gives you this color code. Okay, so that means that this yellow is good. Red is bad. Red is 16-20 minutes, so I'm in a good area.
In terms of decor, you would need to...
I'm in a good area. Okay. Well, whoever gives me a ride first, I don't care. Like this one, you see, like Uber has this thing, so it shows you. Actually, see now with Uber Southeast, $4 signs, so it's, you can make more money. Was here, it's still not bad, $3 signs. But my area where I live, you see, like it's white, so it's not good. So red is actually with Uber is different. Red is the best, then it's green. So I'm pretty much downtown Calgary here. So something should happen. Something should happen sooner or later. Saturday have been very good for me, both with food deliveries and taxi. In my experience, Saturday is the best day to do this gig economy. Well, it's 12:30. I drop off family at some kind of a kids center, and I was looking for Starbucks, and I realized that I was sitting on the other side of a big mall, and there was Starbucks there, but it was not like a real Starbucks. It was one of those that inside a Safeway, you know, like inside a big grocery store. And I see there's a taxi guy sitting there, and usually that's a good indicator. If you see a yellow cab, you know, sitting there, that's why recently I've been paying attention where taxi cabs, where do they sit, where do they wait for orders. And so I see this guy sitting there. It's a big shopping center, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna sit here too. And I parked the car, went inside, and got some unsweet green tea. And as I was walking back, my phone beeped, and it gave me a ride not too far away. So and when I pull up to the building, 2 bare-legged ladies, I don't know, each as tall as me, skinny, super skimpy skirts, basically, kind of like models, you know. Amazing. And they get inside, and I take them to pretty much downtown, like 17th Ave. And then as soon as I drop them off, my phone beeps, and it says there's a customer like a kilometer away. And of course the GPS on the app screws up, sends me a wrong way, but it turns out the pickup was 1 block away from where I was sitting. But instead I had to do a circle because the app was confused. And I picked up a lady that was going like 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers. And so now I ended up, where am I here? I ended up near the river. Not sure which river. Looks like it's a Bow River, but west side. See, I was here, and now I'm in the west side. It's sitting at $90.66 on Uber. Let's see the trends. Oh, you see, it's a good area. Calgary Northwest and University. So it's like $3 signs. Over here is 3. So this is as good as downtown now. You see? So that's what they're telling you. But again, this area, you see, I'm glad that I got out of that northeast where I live, because over there you only see $2 signs, and probably that's the airport. Like, it's all busy here. Wow, even like outside. So I got lucky with, I really got lucky with that airdrie around where a guy, yeah, this was $10 for 9.5 kilometers. And then here was a $3 tip. Did I say thank you? You earned more for this trip because your rider left a tip. Oh, see, I can send thanks for the tip. Yeah, on Uber you can click that button, send thank you, but maybe I'll start Lyft. I'm still at $42 because recently I've been using Uber. But yeah, I was hoping to make $300, but of course it's not gonna happen because it's already, yeah, 12:30, and so 90 and 40, 130. So I don't know, I'm still kind of like evaluating, you know, whether this can be sustained as a full-time job. But of course I'm spending gas, you know, and so even my job at $24 an hour is better, because 24 Canadian, of course, 24 times what is it, like 8.5 hours, right? And there's no gas. I don't spend my own gas. I drive a company vehicle. And then if I work more than 44 hours a week, I'm getting $32 an hour, you know, because there's overtime. Whereas here, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm sitting at 148. What is this? No, sorry, 143.7, because I zeroed in. I deleted the mileage when I started, so 143 kilometers. It's pretty much always amounts quite often to $1 per kilometer, and that's gross, right? So that's gross, and plus there's tax in there. I still have to figure out how to I need to find some kind of a report where it'll show me how much tax. Like, for example, in June I only used Lyft because Uber did not, I was still out, but now in July I started using both Lyft and Uber. But so June I'm trying to do my books, you know, like my income statement, stuff like that, and I have to file the sales tax report with the CRA, with the Canadian Revenue Agency. And I'm still looking for a way, where do I find how much GST was included, because, you know, I have to deduct 5% from all this and send it to the government. Oh yeah, I see here your quarterly earnings summary. So now I can download my quarterly summary, because it was January, February, March, April, May, June. But the problem is I pay taxes every month and I file them every month. I guess I could switch to quarterly. I don't think they will mind, because I don't have much income. And yeah, you see Lyft has no, usually if it's busy, they show you symbols around, like 1 minute, 3 minute, you know, like waiting time. But typical, this is a good area. I remember this was good for, you know, like food deliveries. But yeah, still, you know, it's good to make this extra couple of extra bucks. Okay, let's see what happens at the airport there. Long wait. 14 flights are landing between 12 and 1, but there's 35 cars. Uber X and Lyft. What did they say about the airport? Oh, 1 to 5 drivers, 9 rides per hour, so which means that you will wait probably 30-40 minutes, and it's 4,000 people are landing in the next 2 hours, but it's 30 kilometers away, so no point in me driving down there. So now I'm just gonna sit, relax in my car and wait for my next passenger and see where it'll take me. So 20 to 1. Yeah, I wish I could make it into a full-time job, but it's probably what, like 10-15 bucks an hour, you know, if you count all the time that you're sitting. So I had a nice burger, stopped for lunch around 12:30, because yeah, I found a shopping center, a real Canadian superstore, and then I restarted the app, and this time Lyft sent me almost 8 kilometers away. 8 kilometers away to pick up a young couple and bring them to this is a CF Market Mall, like a big shopping center, which is perfect, you know. So even though I did 7 kilometers for free, and then on the way back I think it was same, like 7-8 kilometers. So nothing changed with Uber, but DoorDash now shows yeah, this was the last one, $11, basically 12 bucks, but I see I did over 17 kilometers. Yeah, this is really cheap, and of course no tip, no nothing. So yeah, Lyft is definitely it's good as a secondary app, you know. Let's say Uber is, but I always, if I get, sometimes I think it happened once where both Uber and Lyft started ringing, you know, like offering me something, I would take Uber any day first. Lyft only if there's nothing on Uber. So hopefully I don't have to sit here too long. I have windows closed because I found some shade, but then I realized that there's a lot of bugs around this tree, so might as well maybe go away from this tree. But yeah, but this is a great spot where to sit, you know. That's where a taxi cab would sit, because there's a movie theater, there's a food court, there's a bunch of restaurants. It's a nice location, and we are to the basically north, just slightly north. This is downtown, just slightly northwest of the downtown, so it's a short ride on Crowchild Trail and I can be in downtown. Well, my low fuel light came on, and I think at the beginning of the day it showed range was 260 kilometers, and I did 200 kilometers today, so that's what it means. So roughly 50-60 kilometers is left, which is typical when the light comes on. But I decided to call it a day because I don't want to bother with fueling. I'll do it tomorrow because I'm going to be working tomorrow. But to sum it up, so with Uber I did $121.48, and I did 12 trips. 12 trips, that's a lot, you know. And Lyft, I did 5 trips and I made $70.77. So basically didn't even make 200 bucks. So I thought if I make 300, I could consider doing it full-time. But if you cannot make even $200 gross, and I'm not even talking about gas, right? So that's just ridiculous. So you cannot compare, you know, like my day job. So even 28 bucks and 24 bucks an hour, let's say times 8, that's $192 every day net. Well, there's tax, they deduct income tax, but I don't have to pay for gas, right? So unfortunately, and it's summer, it's busy, there's lots of tourists, lots of flights, and still like I sat for 1 hour at the airport. But actually I did a lot of, one thing I noticed that like look over here with LYFT, it was 16 bucks, 11, 17, 10, 6. So basically everything, like 5 rides, everything was over $10. You know, even the first one was $9, but then I got this turbo, which is surcharge. Whereas with Uber, I did more than twice trips, 12, right? But check this out. This was $4.73. Wait a second. Yes, okay, $4.73, $3.99, ridiculous. But of course it's very short. It's $3.99 for 1.5 kilometers. Then, and the first one was $4.73 for 1.8 kilometers. So it's like $2 per kilometer actually, which is good. $8.64 for 7 kilometers. $4.80 for 2.8 kilometers. $3.52 for 1.1 kilometer. $10.76 for 9.5 kilometers. $8.46 for 3 kilometers. No, wait. Yeah, 3 kilometers. And then $6.53 for 4 kilometers. $7 for 5. And then this one was my trip to Airdrie, $34.90. And the guy gave me $5 tip in cash, and then he added $5 here. So that was actually an excellent trip with that Indian priest. And then 18 bucks over here, $9.72. Yeah, and that's the other rest. The rest is Friday. So yeah, did a bunch of trips, but so many of them were like even under $5, which, you know, but again, right now, because I just, you know, started with them, I pretty much take everything. Whatever Uber throws my way, I take it. Lyft, I kind of like, because Lyft is cheaper. But I heard some horror stories online that basically if you decline too many Lyft offers, they will deactivate your account. They don't tell you how many, what your acceptance rate should be, but I know, I read about this, but I think they give you like a report where they say, okay, see, with Lyft I already did 161 rides since I started. In 1 month I did 161 rides, but then I have five star rating, so people like me. I'm trying to be careful. Basically what people want is they want a safe driver. Nobody said anything about clothes. People want clean car, and they want a good driver, and they want a guy who is friendly. Those are the 3 things I noticed that people were always pointing out. Friendly, like why they like me. Friendly, good driver, clean car. That's it. Nobody cares about clothes, despite what many people think. But of course, you know, if you smell and you all like look ugly and, you know, have alcohol in your breath, probably they would notice that. But most of all, that's what they look for. They look clean car, friendly driver, and safe driver, like good driver. Basically, don't turn around corners so that people are thrown into the doors. Don't brake that they hit their head on the seat in the front. So basically when I'm driving, I drive the speed limit, super slow. I slow down on turns. I don't take ramps as fast as when I'm by myself. I take ramps and all turns slow. And most importantly, I keep a long distance from the car in front of me. This way I don't have to slam on my brakes if something happens, you know. Just basically go steady, steady, slow, and keep the long distance from the vehicle in the front of you, kind of like as if you have, I don't know, something precious in the back, and you know, like you have some egg salad, I don't know. But you know, you have something that's breakable. That's how I consider it, you know, kind of like I'm responsible for these passengers, I'm responsible for their safety, so I want to be careful, I want to be slow. And again, I hate it when I'm driving. I mean, when I take an Uber and the guy turns like this around corners, I'm like holy mackerel, this guy doesn't have any clue how to drive a taxi, you know. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.